a felon or someone who has limitations with respect to their mental or emotional faculties. If I were a convicted felon, I sure wouldn't go to the sheriff's office and seek a gun permit. If I were a convicted felon, I would go to a private seller. I would steal a weapon, as you suggest. I would go to a corrupt dealer. I would acquire my weapon in a nefarious way. And that just suggests to me that measures have to be taken to tighten up these means of acquisition of firearms. And that can be done by the universal criminal background check that Ms. Farredon addressed a little earlier. It can be done by assuring that when weapons are stolen or lost, that responsible citizens report that to the local law enforcement officers. And I just think that these types of loopholes have to be addressed.
But why would we address something that works? Why would we address a system that works? I'm saying that from a neutral position. Why?
But does it work? There are flaws in the existing system.
It works because our crime rate has come down.
Does it truly work because there are flaws in our existing background check system?
No system is perfect.
You're right. You're right. And we're attempting every effort is made to every effort is being made to address those flaws. And until these efforts that are being made are intensified, I think these flaws will just continue to exist.
So maybe even background checks or something. I want to try to get some of our other speakers to speak. We have Oath Keepers, Mr. Williams.
Laura, if I could just real quick address the mayor there, as far as I used to also be the manager of a gun shop that deals in firearms, and I had several instances where people came in, felons, and tried to buy firearms and rejected. So, I mean, you're saying that the average criminal doesn't, or the criminals don't come in to try and buy guns. They do come in to try and buy guns. I'd just like to say that.
Really?
Absolutely.
Just to elaborate on Oath Keepers, Oath Keepers is an association of military law enforcement and firefighters, and what we do is we encourage other military law enforcement and firefighters to keep the oath to the Constitution that they took as per Article 6 of the Constitution. We've had 100 years of ramping up gun laws, and in some ways maybe they've been effective, in some ways they're not effective. The bottom line is, if you're looking to your government for protection, you better stop doing that. You better start looking toward yourself for your protection, because frankly the government doesn't care about you. The only person who cares about you is you. You need to protect your family and take personal responsibility for your self-defense. Anything that's going to keep you from exercising your right to keep and bear arms, or as I like to call it, possessing your property, because that's exactly what it is, you should do away with immediately. You need to take care of yourself and stop looking toward these people to protect you, because they have a long history of failing in doing that.
You ever hear that? The Florida loophole about getting my mail.
Okay.
I have one quick question, and I'm going to turn to the attorney here. Before I came on the show, I contacted the Mayors Against Illegal Guns and tried to get some more information. What do you know about the Florida loophole, where they can get a carry permit from Florida, but because Pennsylvania has reciprocity, now you've got a criminal who has a license to carry from another state? Like I said, it's information that I got from them, so I figured
I'd like to address that
question.
question. Sure. First, I always find it humorous that anytime something is legal, but it goes against someone else's desired goal, it's a loophole. I think there's a problem with that. Some might argue the First Amendment's a loophole. So that's my first concern. With regards to Florida licenses to carry firearms, Florida's application process is actually more stringent than Pennsylvania's. The difference is that here in Pennsylvania we have a character and reputation clause that is not defined. And chief law enforcement officers in the county or in the city of Philadelphia, it's the chief of police, can deny for any reason whatsoever based on character and reputation. And so, I mean, we don't see those issues in many of the counties. I know I don't see them with Sheriff Weeknecht. We don't see that elsewhere other than in the city of Philadelphia, where people are law-abiding citizens, they want to get licenses, but the chief just says he's not going to issue them. He's going to deny the license. So the people, because we do have a reciprocity agreement with Florida, will apply for a non-resident license down with Florida. They have to submit fingerprints. They go through a full background check. They are not someone who is prohibited from being able to own a firearm. And assuming that they fit the criteria that Florida has specified, they will be issued a license to carry firearms from Florida. And then, because of that reciprocity, they can carry here in Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
Sure, absolutely, my pleasure.
Does anybody have anything to add?
Again, I'm Marianne Deary, the mayor of Boyertown. I'd like it to be known that actually I come from a family of hunters. I'm not against guns. I'm a proponent of our Second Amendment. But I think what I am hearing is that there is a fear that if we banish weapons of such violence, the next step is going to be your handguns. The Constitution does give you the right to own a firearm, to protect yourself and family, and to farm your land. That right was written, I believe, in 1797. That's over 200 years ago. And the gun that you had at that time was a muzzle. Times have changed, and I think that no matter what business you're in, whether it's law enforcement, a grocery store, whatever, every now and then you've got to tweak how you do business. And I think with the mass killings that has happened recently, we must look at that. You can't say, oh, you're trying to take away my rights. This is an issue that has to be looked at and addressed. As much as I don't know how to say this, but government, even though I'm a member of a government body, I like less government in my face. The less federal government that addresses our people, the better. However, with the accessibility of being able to get a firearm in one state and not in the other, means that the federal government has to be involved in those laws. However, if all the states could actually agree on all the same document, then I would submit that the state should handle this problem.
I'd just like to say, Mrs. Mayor, that the Constitution, it's we the people. It's not them, the government. And we do have, as we the people, we have the right to amend the Constitution on a national referendum or something like that. But again, you say you're a hunter. This Second Amendment has nothing to do with hunting purposes, sporting purposes. It has to do with tyranny and government for we the people to protect ourselves from people that are unfortunately in control of our country right now.
I'm sorry.
I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that you should have a weapon to protect yourself.
I wish we had more time. I'm sorry. We only have a minute left. We have 2 minutes left. Okay. All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming and joining us and explaining your viewpoints, bringing information to our viewers and facts. And we at BCTV thank all of our viewers for watching. Please, become a member of BCTV. If you can donate towards BCTV, please do. Come in, have a program of your own. Let's discuss things. This is all about having a voice in our community. I did have another slide that I wanted to show at the end. It's something we didn't touch on. I also wanted to talk about maybe some shows in the future. Behavioral medicine would be big. I think that has a play in our crime. Also, the educational system, why we are only, Americans are only maybe 10 or 1% of higher education in our colleges. I want to talk about current events. It's very interesting how the international group is taking a look at this. Every day I read articles in the Chinese newspapers, and they are keeping a very big eye on their plans. And I read international newspapers because mainstream media, it's just very difficult to get good information out or from them. That's another show that should be around. How can we get information? How can people that work 2 jobs or both parents are working, there's so little time to find out what's going on. And that's another reason why we have shows like this. Thank you again for watching Community Consensus. I'm Laura Hughes, and I'd like to say good night and thank you.